Welcome back to Straight Facts. It's Tuesday. LB, Dan Potts in the house. How are you, gentlemen? You both well?
Very well, mate.
Always good, man. Always good, bro.
I know. It's a good weekend for us all. We all won.
Oh, yeah. That's why you got a smile on your face.
Mate, it's a rarity. We won 2 games on the bounce, bruv. Honestly.
Chat's not going to recognise you. You're going to think you're an imposter.
It's true, yeah. Well happy. Over the moon. Rasmus scoring. We've got our Haaland. I'm buzzing.
Oh, yeah, you got your Haaland.
Man United are back, as Rio said.
We're back. Listen, by the way, anyone in the comments, that's a joke that we got our Haaland. Please don't get triggered by it. It's a Tuesday. It's a long way to go. Lots to talk about on the show today. City accused of more cheating. We're going to delve into that on the show. We're going to be looking, of course, at the situation with Chelsea. Pochettino, Chelsea fans in their droves turning against him. And then we're going to, of course, review the big game of the weekend with Arsenal dominating Liverpool, the ramifications on the title race, celebration police and all of that. Plus, any questions, any points you guys want to raise, feel free to leave your comments below. LB has just done it, actually. He says 1 million charges. And that kind of brings us on to City, because I got a little trigger this morning on your behalf, really, LB. I've seen journalists and I'm seeing rivals absolutely kicking off because you've signed Silva. Sorry, not Silva. Sávio. Sorry, Silva. Why Silva popped into my head? And people are essentially saying that this is part of the City corruption. The multi-club plan you've got in place means you can get these players at a cheaper rate. His parent club is not making any money out of him. He's never even played for his parent club. It's all a big cheating conspiracy from Manchester City. It must be pretty frustrating being a City fan, operating in a way in a successful way, but everything being looked at as a stain on football.
These people are just muppets, man. Honestly, these people are just muppets. Listen, City have got obviously this group, and you know, clubs can decline. Don't have to be involved in the group if they don't want. Like there was a team in, I think, the Netherlands or somewhere in Europe, where the fans, City agreed a deal. The fans protested. The fans didn't want to be part of the group. And the deal decided not to go ahead because the fans didn't want it. No problem. Girona, obviously we don't own all of Girona. Girona, we only own 45%. Sávio, who actually plays for a French club who's part of the group, he's there on loan. These teams obviously did want to be part of the group. And, you know, therefore, if you come into the group, you get the benefits of being in the group. You get access to a worldwide network of some of the best scouts. You get access to some of the best football brains in the world. You're seeing what Girona are doing now, obviously, with this new manager, Mitchell, I think he's called, who's absolutely slamming it there. Some of the players there, they're doing a fantastic job. And they benefit. And obviously, City will benefit because then City get access to some players. And obviously, we can do deals because they're part of the group. So all clubs should be looking at doing this. Barcelona were going to do it, but they wouldn't let the Soriano. When Soriano was at Barcelona, Soriano wanted to do this with Barcelona, but the Barcelona executives didn't believe it would work. Well, obviously it does work. This is what other clubs are going to try and do it. So fantastic deal. I'm excited about the transfer. He's a good player. I've seen him a couple of times, and yeah, looking forward to seeing how he gets on. He can put a mean cross into the penalty area. He's only young. He's only 19 years old. Turns 20 in April. So he'll come in with pretty low expectations, I'd imagine, because you know he's so young. But it's a fantastic deal for City. Anyone moaning about anything wrong with it? I mean, what are you talking about, bro? It's a legit transfer. We're buying in. We're paying money, real money. You know what I mean? So what's the problem? People just want to moan at anything my club does, and I find it hilarious. It doesn't rattle me anymore, man. I find it hilarious how people are that rattled that anything we do, oh, you can't do that. You can't do that. You can't do that. Even last night, man. People was blaming the referee for the way we won the game. What are you talking about? People are so rattled about my club. It's actually wild. Yeah. So listen, I'm buzzing with the transfer. It's come out of nowhere, really. So yeah, I'm excited.
Yeah, there's a comment here, and I read this. This was from an athletic journalist who said a classic bit of multi-club nimble footwork. This. And then he says, Sávio was signed by City groups. I want to pronounce the name right. Is it Treyes?
It's like Trois, I think it is.
Okay, Treyes. Their record signing, in fact, but has never played for them. Loaned immediately to City Group's Girona and is now being sold to City Group's Manchester City. Now, he doesn't in the tweet state that it's cheating, or that it's wrong or that it's unethical. But again, we're not in a court of law. We can all read exactly what Nick Miller is implying. And I agree with you, LB. I sort of look at this as, well, my club have just been bought by partly bought by Ineos, who have Nice. So we're already part of the multi-club situation just within that purchase. And I want us to follow suit. It's a great way of raising money. It's, clubs used to have feeder clubs back in the day. Man United used to have first access and preferential rates on players at the clubs like Sporting Lisbon, wherever the loan players out to places like Antwerp with relative ease, as an example. These things have existed in football for a long time, ever before City did them. Now, I understand the 115 charges exist, but none of the charges are related to having a multi-club network. So I do, listen, loads of people are out there accusing City of cheating, saying it's unethical. But for me, it is a lot of sour grapes in relation to this, because they've seen how good this young player is at Girona this year. And I think they knew in their heart of hearts he was going to go to Man City because of the connection. It's the same as I look at Todibo, who's currently at Nice. I believe he's going to end up at Manchester United if he really is as good. Now, this is what I'm saying to Man United fans. Don't be throwing big, fat stones in a glass house, because come the summer, because you're spouting off about City situation with this player, you're just going to get it in reverse. So keep your damn powder dry. Like, I don't know. For me, I just look at it as this here is a complete nothing burger, other than excellent work from City. I don't know about you, Dan. Like, this just feels like sour grapes to me.
Yeah, it's bizarre, isn't it? I don't get it. They've signed someone. People are reacting as if they've just signed the next Lionel Messi. I've never heard of this geezer. And apparently, it's all like, uproar. This is so. And there's other teams that have got feeder clubs and parent clubs. That's how it works. That's what football is now. Yeah, it's just the way it is. And I don't know why this whole cheating thing is coming every time Man City do something. Let's just actually work this out. We've gone through here before. We've been through this story about what we want to see happen is the truth come out and then it be dealt with. I don't think that's got anything to do with Man City signing Sávio. Apparently, he's been brilliant in the Liga, been the best left winger this year. You can talk about that if you want. Great stuff. I'm sure it'll be a great signing for Pep, and I'm sure he'll make it work. But I don't look at it and go, Man City cheating. I think a lot of football teams are extremely jealous of Manchester City in terms of what they've won, what they've achieved, how much they can afford to spend, and the money that they have. I think that's just facts. What I will say, though, and LB says it don't rattle him, I believe I know LB well. There's a lot of City fans that actually do let it get to him, though. Listen, if I was a Man City fan, I'd just be laughing at people. I wouldn't. There's so many Man City fans that I see online that react to this. It's like, you're here because of money. I'd be like, yep, that's absolutely right. And we're winning everything. But some Man City fans are like, no, hang on, we deserve to be here. We deserve to be winning all this stuff. So, man, don't let them do that. Just laugh at them. They are jealous.
Yeah.
Of
you know what's funny, Dan? I had a stream this morning on my channel, and I said the same thing. I said, when people get rattled about it, and start saying stuff like that, just laugh at them. The reason they say that is because they're rattled, because their clubs are dead clubs. You know what I mean? It's not my problem that their club's a dead club. Yeah, I know. Obviously, my club's winning stuff because of the money, because of the owners. Obviously, you know what I mean. But there's a lot more to the game than just money. But why we're here? Because we got this owner, and see, people are just rattled. You know what I mean? Like, listen, if someone else wants to buy this guy, you put up the money. If you think Savio's that good, yeah, because this is what the people will do. People will say, "Oh, Savio's not even that good." Well, why are you moaning about it then?
Yeah.
What are you moaning about it then? If he's that good, why don't your club bid for him then? If you think he's that good, bid for him. Apparently, teams have bid 25 million quid for him. 25 million quid in today's age, according to Ducker at the Telegraph. He said bids from Sávio from other Premier League and Bundesliga clubs have been in the region of 25 million quid. So why are people moaning? Are you that scared? Are you that scared of a 25 million pound signing? You want him? You go and sign him then. You go put 30 million and you go and sign him. Sure, they'll accept the cash.
Yeah, it's bizarre. It is bizarre. And and I say again, when people have got really rattled about Man City being in the position that they're in, I don't understand why Man City fans don't take that more of that attitude of just like, yeah, I know it's brilliant, isn't it? Look how rattled you are. Look how much we're winning. But they're not. Some of them are so like, oh my God, like, I can't believe you're disrespecting us. You think we would still be here without the money, by the way? We wouldn't be still be in League Two. We'd be, and I'm like, look, let's just leave it. Yeah,
that's a little far.
Yeah, you know what I mean?
Don't go that far. I'm going to make a weird one here. Not a weird statement. It shouldn't be, but it might be. None of the current top six clubs with if they took all their money away, we wouldn't be the top 6 clubs. Part of the reason we're there is the money. But the money is definitely needed. See, don't do that. There's a comment here though, and this is what I mean. Talk about Chelsea's investigations. Keep the same energy. Did a whole piece on that on Saturday. Go watch it. Watch more of my before you start having a pop at what I have and have not said. Go watch more of my content, and you'll see. It feels like you only turn up when City are in the title. Therefore, you don't see what I say about other clubs. I've done a number of videos on Chelsea's situation, potential points being docked, and everything. Both clubs have the same owners. No, is that legit?
Well,
yes.
But yeah, we were owned by the same group. But that's the attractiveness of the model. And at the end of the day, right, FFP regulations have come in to curtail spending. That's what they want to do. They want to bring spending down. So City are using their group, they're using their network to get players into other clubs, access this scouting from all over the world, and then pick up the best talent from our own clubs cheaper than maybe what we could get them and easier than. No, what do you want us to do? I mean, you and by the way, City are doing this now, and City are there. United are going to do this, like Terry already said. Nice, obviously in France, they'll probably add more clubs to it. Yeah. The other clubs will start doing this. Barcelona, the Real Madrid of this world, they're all going to start doing this because it's obviously the way to go. We have literally scouting networks everywhere. We have clubs every single part of the globe that we can pick up these young talents. And a lot of them we get for cheap. You look at Julian Alvarez that we picked up for 15 million quid. We could have got Enzo Fernandez, by the way. City had a deal agreed for Enzo Fernandez when he was at River Plate for 10 million quid. The only reason we didn't pull that trigger then and he went to Benfica is because City couldn't guarantee him the game time. We just signed this other Argentinian kid from Argentina, Echeverri. Very, very highly. I watched him the other day, actually, in the under-23s Olympic thing. Looks a very, very promising player. We have all these networks all over the globe. Other clubs should follow suit. Instead of moaning about it, get your clubs to do the same thing. They're all rich enough. They all have enough money to go and buy these football clubs. So, yeah, man, there ain't nothing wrong with it for me.
No, I agree. Viewers, give us your views. Give us your opinions. Kula here says, did JG really curse at Pep? I don't believe it. Who's JG?
Grealish. So there was some rumours flying around last night that apparently Grealish stormed out of training because of Pep told him he wasn't in the team, but he was on the bench. So you'd imagine it can't be that bad. I'm sure we'll hear some leaks this week about what's going on there. Not again. Don't.
Yeah, I mean Grealish is done at City for me. I think he's been a relative flop for 100 million, and Doku's come in. You've now signed Sávio. Phil Foden is clear of him in that position. I think he'll be sold in the summer personally, not because he's a bad player. I just think, look, when I say relative flop, because there's a lot worse flops out there than him, but the fact that you're signing so many players that can play in his position ahead of him within a couple of years of dropping £100 million on him tells me that Pep thinks I can get players that are as good as him at doing all the holding of the possession and keeping it wide and dragging players out of position, but I need players with more output, especially after losing Mahrez. It's so important to have that output for me, but I'm not surprised the story.
I don't know. Yeah, listen, the Grealish one gets people. Even the City fans debate whether, like, a lot of City fans don't like Grealish. A lot of people do. Like, I don't know. At the end of the day, he's won 2 titles. He won a treble last year, which he was a big part of.
He was.
I don't know, and he works extremely hard off the ball. He's what lets him down really is his lack of goals and assists. But people say, well, he never really got goals or assists. Even at Villa, if you compare his goals and assists per 90 minutes at Villa compared to now, it's not too dissimilar. It's not like he's dropped off. But the question is, can you get more from another player like Sávio, like Doku, without losing that defensive work that Grealish puts in? I don't know. We'll have to see. I think it's a big 6 months though for Grealish, man. I think he needs to put in some good performances.
I don't think he'll be seen as a bit of a flop. I think that's a little bit harsh because he's obviously what he's won and what
I agree.
Him. But what I will say,
Luke Chadwick. He's like Luke Chadwick at Man United. He won the titles, but he weren't that important.
That's harsh.
He's better looking than him. Better looking than Luke Chadwick.
Oh, without a doubt. I'd love to look like Jack Grealish. I'm not even. He's stunning looking, man.
But I'll say this: I didn't feel like it was a signing. Jack Grealish has done exactly what I thought that he would do at City. I never thought he was going to be the top dog. I never thought he was going to come in and be like, everybody look at me, I'm the top dog like I was at Villa. I always thought he was going to come in and contribute, and that's exactly what he's done. I never saw Jack Grealish as a 15, 20 goal a season type player. I always saw him as a player that would contribute, and I think that's exactly what he's done. Maybe they'll move him on, but for me, £100 million, that's the mark that everyone's going to look back at and go, have we got £100 million worth out of Jack Grealish? And I never thought you were going to do that. It was always a mad amount of money, but that's football, man.
That's why I say relative flop, because I think he's done some really good things. I've never bought into this notion that when he plays on the left, he's given completely different instructions from every other wide player, Foden or Mahrez on the other side, or Doku when he comes in and he's told not to try and score and not to try and assist. I've always felt that was bullshit, because the manager isn't going to go, right, we're going to change our system today because Foden's in there. But when Jack Grealish is in there, I don't want you scoring goals. It was too far-fetched, and I think he's been a good player for City. There's no doubt. And he's had some brilliant games and some brilliant moments. But I think when you invest £100 million, you're expecting everything you've got and much more from him. And I watched Phil Foden last night, and I just think to myself, maybe he wasn't quite ready a couple of years ago to step into that position. But he's the man. He's the absolute man. I think technically he's every bit as good as Jack Grealish. His ability to receive the ball on the half turn is maybe the best in the world at doing that. He can score goals. He's dangerous. He's consistent. I just think Phil Foden's his position should be on that left-hand side of your attack, in my view. I think he's absolutely phenomenal there. So, and look, it's not a dig at Grealish. Listen, I wouldn't mind Man United signing Jack Grealish. I don't think he's a bad player. I just think he's I think he's a bit of a free spirit. And I think being in a regimented system, as regimented as Pep systems are, I think maybe takes a little bit away from him, even though he's done some good things. So I think that, look, if you guys sell him, you'll still get really big money for him. He's not a horrible player, but we'll see what happens. 100 million was his release clause. It's irrelevant. It still got paid, didn't it?
Yeah, exactly. That's mad.
Yeah.
One thing I'll quickly say as well, in terms of Southgate, I know that we're not talking about England, but I mean, Rice, Bellingham, Foden, and Harry Kane up top. Win that Euros, man, because I tell you what, if you go win it,
Mainu in the middle holding the ball, bang on.
Well, exactly, and Mainu, yeah. But listen, do you know what's mad? He'll probably go and do that, Gareth Southgate, or play Calvin Phillips or something, or Conor Gallagher in there, or Mason Mount. You know what I mean? But listen, the amount of players he's got, I mean, we're not even talking about Maddison. You talk about Grealish not being there. He's going to be part of that. Rashford's going to be part of that. Saka. Mate, come on, man. This England.
Yeah, but you can't trust this manager, mate. That's the problem with him.
Listen,
he'll probably fucking drop Henderson as captain or something. You know what I mean? Like, the guy's just an idiot. I think he should. I think the guy's a clown. Yeah, he's got to find a way, like you said, of getting Bellingham, Foden, and Rice in that midfield. Because if he does that, wow, that midfield should win you. Well, it should at least take you to the final. You know, you get France and
we've got so much talent. We should be doing a lot better, especially with the rest of the world not being particularly great right now. And I know it's the Euros and not the Italy aren't much. I know they won it sort of 4 years ago, but they're not much to write home about. Literally, the only country where I look at it and go, scary at times, is France. Genuinely, they're the only country I look at and go, oh, that'd be a really hard game. Everybody else, I look at it and think, if the manager picks the right team and tactics, we've got. I'm not saying we'll smash everyone, but we've got a very good chance of beating them. We've got talent for days everywhere across the football pitch, and we're experienced now as well. So, but I would be putting Mainu in the next squad, by the way, just to give him a competitive game, because Ghana are coming for him. So it's just to make sure he can't be had. That's my view. Like, you got to do this with talented players, but we'll see. We'll see. There's a comment here that says, "Where else can Grealish go?"
I think a lot of clubs would take him. I mean, I wouldn't sell him. I'd keep him around. Just to be clear, I don't want to get rid of him. But if he did leave, I think you get a lot of teams in for him. I mean, he's a very, very good player. You know, maybe in a team where he doesn't have as much, maybe, you know, I don't know.
He gets Would he go Newcastle?
I don't see why not. But they've got Anthony Gordon. They don't really need him. You know,
because I was looking at the sort of teams that you would sell him to. I don't think you'd be selling him to Arsenal, Liverpool. You're not going to sell him to United. Spurs, maybe.
Oh, Pep said he'd sell players to anyone.
Yeah,
Pep said you're a small club if you don't sell players to your rivals. If the player wants to go and the team is willing to pay it, he says you're a small club. because he was asked about
Phillips. When Arsene
Phillips.
Wenger was selling Alexis Sanchez to Man United and Robin van Persie to Man U, was it? You weren't a big club then. We weren't a big club then.
You're a big club. That was the one. Yeah. That's the one little bit of positive you can take from selling all your
Pep
players.
says we're still a big club.
You're a massive.
Yeah, you didn't win any for 15 years. You didn't win a league title, but you sold all your best players. You're massive.
Yeah, massive. Makes sense that.
Yeah, great logic. I love it. Viewers, let us know what you think. Let us know what you feel. Moving on, I want to play you boys a snippet. This is from what Pochettino has had to say today as his job comes under even more pressure.
Demanding the support to the team, to the players, because I know the quality and we know the quality of the player. The players have an amazing quality. The only problem is take time to build a team. And that is, the reality that we need to translate to the fans, and the fans to be patient. Of course, that we are going to find a way to succeed. Too many things that we need to fix before to talk about tactics or about to talk football. But we are entitled to fix all these things. As soon as possible, for sure, we are going to perform and be in the position that the club deserve,
Telling the fans to be patient. There's other things to fix before we look at the football. And Chelsea fans online have lost it over this. They want him gone. The majority, that is. They want him gone. They want him out. Of course, at the weekend, gents, they were battered by Wolves. Battered 4 goals at home to Wolverhampton Wanderers. They got smashed by Liverpool. They're 11th. They're actually, after 23 games under Poch, they have less wins and less points. And they're in a lower position than when Graham Potter was there. How is this man surviving, in your opinion?
I think he's a clown. I really do. I think he's an absolute idiot. I'm sorry. I think the guy's an absolute idiot. And I do not accept these people who say, oh, just give him time. Give him time. What are you on about? Give him time. You got to earn time. You don't just get given time. You know what I mean? If I take a new job, 100 grand a year salary or whatever, and I'm doing an ass job for the first 6 months, it's not, oh, just give me time. Guess what? You're on one of them 6-month deals and you're out because you've not met the criteria. This manager is not good enough. Yeah, he's the most overrated manager. As when I speak to people about him and people try and tell me how good this guy is, I don't know what planet they're living on. All right, he done okay at Spurs. Still didn't win anything. Didn't win any domestic cups. Didn't win any leagues. Didn't win a Champions League. Right? So what? You're just saying he's mint because he got him in the top 4 every year. Is that what we're saying? All right, okay, then he's great. What? He then went to PSG, had half a season to turn the season around and win the league. Didn't win the league in the first year. Yeah, finished second. He had 21 games, by the way. So this is again when people try and come at me in the chat and say, oh, LB, he only had a limited amount of games. He had 21 games. Yeah, so stop the cap. He had plenty of time to win the league there and then failed at PSG. And people will say, oh, it's PSG. Pep Guardiola goes to PSG. He's doing a lot better than that. He's getting them to Champions League finals. If Jurgen Klopp goes to PSG, he's getting them to Champions League finals. Same with Carlo Ancelotti. So if you want to put him on a top bracket manager, you got to give him top bracket manager expectations and judge him off that. I just think he's a good manager. I think he's an okay manager. Nothing more. Nothing less, nothing more. I think he's an okay manager. That's it. And I do not understand why the obsession. In fact, I do understand it. It's because he plays nice football. He plays attractive football and he's good with the kids. Yeah? Weird. Yeah, weird. I just don't get it, man. Football is about results. And he's not getting the results. They're at the bottom half of the table. And the thing is, I completely disagree when people say, oh, Chelsea's the hardest job in the Premier League. Is it? Is it? Let's just actually assess what the expectation was this season. Was anyone expecting Chelsea to win the league this year? No. Most people weren't even doing Chelsea top 4 because I've seen Dan Potts' predictions, seen my predictions at the start of the season. I don't know about Terry's, and I don't know anyone who had Chelsea in the top 4. No, all anyone was expecting Chelsea was to go from 11th, or 12th last season to what? 7th? 6th? Is that? Are you telling me that's a ridiculous job and one of the hardest jobs in the Premier League when they've got a squad that's worth £1 billion? I'm sorry, I just disagree. I completely disagree with everything that people say on this. I think the guy's a clown. I don't think he knows what he's doing, and he's massively, massively, massively underachieving. And yes, 100%, the owner's an idiot. The people running the football clubs are idiot. The recruitment strategy has been an idiot. Yeah, it's been ridiculous. But all we're asking is for this manager to take a team that's had £1 billion spent on it from 12th to 7th to 6th. That's it. And he's not even doing that. So I'm just genuinely, just personally, just don't get it. Yeah. Listen, I just think he's an okay manager at best. I won't want him anywhere near my team.
I love it. I mean, listen, LB, you sound like you're a Chelsea fan, man. You're ranting about him. It's quite funny. I love it personally. I think it's brilliant.
Because people chat so much rubbish about it, mate. People want to talk to me about, Pochettino, great manager, isn't he? What? What are you on about, great manager? You know what I mean? Like, you don't understand what's gone on here. They spent £1 billion, and they're in the bottom half of the table. And people go on like it's fine. It's just like, it's proper strange, but I find it bizarre how people just accept it and just say, give him more time, more time.
And so, I mean, I must say, I don't know what your thoughts are, Terry. We'll see your comment in a minute, but for me, bro, I just think it's mad what I'm seeing. Like, I went on Troops' channel, I said proper 12. That's not proper Chelsea, proper 12, because that's what they are, mate. It is absolutely embarrassing how bad they are, man.
12.
Proper 12. I was with Sam asked me on his channel, and he kind of shut me down really, and made me rethink about my first thoughts on this. I think Poch is done terrible, right? But there's more problems for me. It's not just Pochettino. If they sack Pochettino, nothing will change. Absolutely nothing, right?
What do you mean nothing will change, Dan? What do you mean nothing will change? Will they not get better?
Okay, let me explain why. Because I was like you. Only yesterday I was like you. Nothing will change. I was thinking it will change. It will get better if you get a different manager in. And then Sam actually rightly asked me, okay, cool. And I'll ask you the same question he asked me. What players are you taking then? What players in Chelsea should be getting them 5th and 4th and 5th and 6th? I'm
not even saying 5th, 4th. I'm saying 7th and 6th.
7th then. Whatever it was you said. What are the players that you look at and go, Coy, I'm taking him in any side. They're quality. I couldn't name many, bruv. That's what my point is. I could name Caicedo. If I'm honest, I think he's a good player, but he hasn't been great. I don't really get this Enzo hype. And I think this guy was supposed to be better than Bellingham. Yeah, that's done. At the back, they're still relying on a 39-year-old at the back to be their best centre-half.
You tell me this squad's not capable of getting 7th, Dan. You tell me the squad's not capable of getting 7th.
I don't know it. I don't know yet. We haven't seen it proved yet. We've got a squad now over the last 2 years that's come 12th and is currently 11th. But apparently it should be 7th. But Potter couldn't do it. Lampard couldn't do it, and Poch couldn't do it.
Because they're not good managers.
That good.
No, it's not a shock.
But are the players that good? I don't know that they are. They'll be. I don't know. They are.
No. They're massively overrated. I agree with that. But they're definitely capable of getting 7th, Dan. Come on.
So let me ask you this then. So Poch goes, they get top 7 with a manager. Tell me a manager that they can get right now that will get them in top 7, guaranteed.
Well, I wouldn't have sacked Tuchel in the first place, personally. I think with Tuchel would have had him to top 7. So that's a mistake.
Okay, but one that's available now, one that's like ready right now to walk in, they can get tomorrow.
Well, he'll probably be available. Well, not tomorrow, but he'll be available in the summer. I don't think he's going to be at Bayern Munich next year. Mourinho could probably.
In the summer, they'll have a different squad again. So what's right now?
I don't think they'll have a different. I don't think they've got the money. I don't think they've got the financial fair play restrictions. I don't think they can.
Okay, but my point is, like, is there a manager right now that if you think, okay, Hansi Flick, I think he'd much better than Pochettino, in my opinion, right? I think he comes in, but I look at it and I think might be able to give him a good go at getting where they want him to be. But I don't think he's guaranteed looking at the squad. They've got absolutely nothing up top. They've got nothing on the win. One of their best players going forward is Raheem Sterling.
Bro, you don't think Hansi Flick comes in this team, or just like a manager like that, and improves them from 11th to maybe 8th or 7th?
Possibly, but I can't guarantee it. I can't.
Because I think I could guarantee it. I think I could guarantee
team performances.
Can I ask a question though, Dan? I get where you're coming from, Dan. Let's just say he stays. What are the changes that need to be made that you then think will see Poch get Chelsea back to the top?
I think there needs to be structure above. I think it's absolutely crazy. I don't think this structure of buying. How are you under 23 years old? Yes, come and play for me then. That is not going to win you anything. I don't look at that. Okay, so we just said there's £1 billion spent, right? And you say that to Chelsea, they go, actually, it's 895 million, actually. I don't care, yeah? It's near enough £1 billion, right? That team is shocking. £1 billion has been spent on that team. Look at the state of it. They've got a goalkeeper that they're now calling Petr because it rhymes with it nearly. I don't know that he's going to be good enough to win them to a title, right? They've got a back four. I don't really rate many of them. Reece James, forget him, he's hardly there. Ben Chilwell is an okay left back, but people go on like he's the next Roberto Carlos. Centre halves wise, Thiago Silva's still one of their best ones, and he's 39. Yeah, and they've spent billions on it at the back. In midfield, Caicedo doesn't look anywhere near as good enough as he was in a Brighton shirt, but I'm not going to sit there and say that he's a bad player. Lavia, we haven't seen yet, but I do think he's a good player. But again, that's potentially. He's not ready to walk in and win a title. Enzo, don't get what he is. Poch has played him as a 6, 8, 10, bloody up and down, box to box. Don't know what he is. No creative midfielder. The best one is apparently Conor Gallagher. That's a problem if he's your best player in the team. Nicholas Jackson is their only striker now because Broyer's just been allowed to leave. That's a problem. And then width-wise, you've got Madueke who doesn't look ready. You've got Chukwuemeka and Mudryk who look like a waste of money, and Chukwuemeka doesn't look ready. And Raheem Sterling, you know what he's like, LB. He ain't going to win Chelsea shit, in my opinion. So people are saying to me, this team should be 6th, this team should be 5th. Should it? I don't look at that and go, wow, massive problem. I don't think I do. And only yesterday, I was on a show going, do you know what? I like this because it's made me change my mind on this. I was like you. Poch should be doing better. This is a team that should be getting 7th. Is it? I don't know that it is.
I think 7th is a reasonable expectation. Listen, I agree with the points that you made about the top 4. Yeah, I don't think they're anywhere near. That squad is nowhere near top 4. And I've said on this show previously, I think the money that Chelsea spent over the last 18 months has been the biggest waste of football spend ever in the history of the game. Because they've absolutely... This transfer strategy that they've gone down is just so ridiculously naive. Yeah, how you spend £1 billion, yeah, and not have a legit goalkeeper and a legit forward. They are the 2 crucial positions on the football pitch that not done. I completely agree with the defence. I think the defence is average at best, but I just do not believe that team is not capable of getting 7th or even 8th, man. And that's better than where they are.
I missed out Cole Palmer, who to be fair has been their best player. The chatter right for me.
And obviously, Nkunku's a decent player as well. I know he's got injury issues as well.
So we've got a couple that I might have missed. But what my point is that I don't look at this team and go, yeah, that should definitely be getting top 6. 100%, because I don't know that it should be. And let me tell you now, I think Poch should have been sacked ages ago, by the way. But I look at it and people say to me, so where do you think Chelsea should be then? Should they be in 11th? I go through the team like I just did, and I think maybe it ain't far off that, actually. It's poor. Look, it's poor.
I think there are some poor players in there. That I think there's some real talent. I think Enzo, I think Caicedo are really talented players. The problem that you've got, we haven't gone through something similar at Man United, but a lot of United fans have been angry that we've let a number of really talented youngsters go. They're happy with Mainu, a lot are happy with Garnacho, but we had so many others. Because in my view, you can only really develop 2 or 3 real young talents at any one time. You start trying to develop 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 of them at the same time, and you're cruising for a bruising. The class of 92 are a rarity. And they came into a team that had recently won league titles and doubles and had one of the best cores English football has ever seen. So I do agree that they've got to address their under 23 policy. They need to bring some experienced players in. They need to ensure that it isn't not the blind leading the blind as such, but you've got inexperience all over that pitch and they're struggling. And it's hurting them and it's damaging them. And they're progressively getting worse over the course of the season. They had a good December. But for me, I don't think the football looks as good now as it did 3 to 4 months ago. And that's because young players become jaded. They're inconsistent by their pure nature. So that element has got to change. The problem that I find is that I think the manager has made a lot of individual mistakes, playing people out of position, never sticking to a kind of regular core. Even if a player has even if a player has a 2 great games, he's out the team. Even if he has a bad couple of games, well, why don't you play that combination in midfield? Give them 4 or 5 games together, see how they can develop, see how they can kind of how they really take to this level of football. We've seen it at Man United with Mainu. He's looked very good in stages in many of the games that he's played in. But now that he's had 4, 5, 6, 7 starts, you're really starting to see his quality shine through because you've still got to acclimatise to the pace of first-team football in the Premier League. So the problem that I have, and I get where you're coming from, is I still think that if you make all these changes, by the time these changes are implemented, by the time you start to feel them in the first team, I still think it's over for Poch. I still think they're going to need somebody new to guide that ship. And
I agree with that.
I'm keeping the same energy as I had with Ten Hag. I think we're going to make a lot of changes internally now at United. And I believe there's been loads of problems he's had with multiple players in this team, fans, everything. The easiest thing to do, and sometimes the best thing to do, is to say, right, we're going to move on, get a new manager under this new regime and start afresh together. Otherwise, you're repairing holes over here and damage over there whilst you're trying to implement something new. And it makes it a much harder task. The changes that Chelsea are now going to bring in should have been implemented before Poch started work. So I do get where you're coming from. And I agree that just sacking Poch in isolation is not going to overly improve Chelsea. And yes, 7th place is better than 11th, but it's still an embarrassment when you've invested the best part of £1 billion into your football team. And there's a guy in the comments that keeps writing, it's not £1 billion squad, 300 or 400 million pound of it's been loaned out. But they've still spent that money, which means it's unavailable to spend on anybody else. So let's not get into the semantics of this situation. So far, this approach from Chelsea is a disaster. I don't know why Chelsea fans are defending it.
They hate it, Tel. They hate it. Oh, it's 890 million and we've loaned out. So I don't care. You spent a load of money.
It's because they realised, bro, it's because they realised that they've wasted it. It's the biggest waste of football money in the history of the game. I've never seen a club waste the money, like Chelsea have wasted their money. Because as Dan said, you look through their squads, how many players are we actually taking from their team? 1, 2 max. It's the biggest waste of cash ever.
I said this, right, to Chelsea fans. I do a lot of content with Chelsea fans, right? You know, Don from this channel, Matisse, Lewis, Goonie. And I said to all of them, this project thing is calm, but you're going to need at least 3 seasons if you're going to be happy, and you're going to need patience. And Chelsea fans are the worst for patience. 20 years they've been eating gaucho steak. Now they've turned to corned beef for 3 years. One day they might have gauchos again, but they want gauchos right now. You ain't going to be able to. The squad ain't good enough. It is nowhere near good enough. If you go through a process of buying 20-year-olds or 22-year-olds and your experienced heads are 23, 24, you are not going to win. They're looking to a 39-year-old to be one of their best centre halves. Just let that sink in. They've had to go and get Cole Palmer, who's been replaced already with Oscar Bob, and he's one of their best players. That is a problem. Conor Gallagher is one of their best players. That is a problem. But they want it right now. And the Chelsea fans just sack him, it'll be fine. Sack Potter, it'll be fine. Sack Lampard, it'll be fine. Now sack Poch, it'll be fine. I don't think it will be fine.
Are they saying that, though? Wait a sec, though, because are they actually saying that? Because I'd sack Pochettino, but I'm not saying... I've not heard many Chelsea fans say that. Say, if you sack Pochettino, everything will be fine. I don't think they're saying that. I think they know that there's a problem.
They're saying Poch is the problem. Replace him. It's got to be him. It can't be anything else. It's got to be
it's not all
Chelsea.
There's
a lot of hard it'll be.
There are some that are. I called out Don for this last night because Don, by the way, I love Don. He's a clever guy. He never quite says things. He implies things, and then we'll go, show me where I actually said those exact words. And he's kind of defending a lot of these players. He's kind of defending his football club by putting a lot of the focus on the manager. And that's where there's a lot of Man United fans that do this. They're always, whether they're meaning to or not, they're inadvertently defending the Glazers, defending how we're run, because they put the amount of Man United YouTubers that you hear them say, Ten Hag is the problem. And even though I want him gone from the club, he's not the problem. He's a problem. Me and Staffy got into it the other day. And we didn't quite go, I was like, Staffy, please don't sit there and say that Ten Hag's our biggest problem. Well, when we're the Glazers here for 17 years, you can't do it. But some Chelsea fans they're putting a lot of this on towards Poch. But we had Nina on last night, Chelsea fan, and I think she broke it down impeccably well, that it's so multi-layered at that football club. It's unbelievable. There's a super chat here, though. I want to throw at you, boys. It says, entertain this idea, Zerbi to Chelsea.
Whatever. You know what I mean? I don't know. Like, listen, I don't even know what you want to do. You know what I mean? Like, I'd sack Pochettino, but I don't think I'd be getting someone like a Zerbi, man. But then again, like Zerbi, is he better than fucking Poch? I mean, I don't know, probably not. Actually, again, no, he's not. If you actually look again, this is where people need to do the research. You actually do your research on Zerbi, yeah. Go and have a look at his former clubs. I think he's been sacked 2 or 3 times. He's done horrific at some of his former clubs, so probably not. No, I think Chelsea need a more experienced manager, but they won't get an experienced manager. By experience, I mean someone who's going to be like, "This is my way or the highway," because that owner is not going to have it.
They can't sack Poch because apparently the FFP stuff's coming, right? But Zerbi, this Zerbi thing, I just think it's got to stop, man. I don't get this obsession with this guy.
I reckon we're getting him, man. You know, when Pep leaves, bro, I think my club's obsessed with him, man.
I don't get the obsession. Like, I think he's done a really good job. I think he's all right. I don't look at him and go, do you know what? Get him in. Man United start winning titles again. Get him into Chelsea. He'll fix their problems. They'll start winning again. I don't get this. How do we know that? We've got absolutely no proof that they'll be. He plays it out nice at the back, so now he's going to win titles. This guy's got no proof that he's won anything at Premier League level. What is it all about?
You're right about what it's all about. I agree with the statement of he doesn't guarantee anyone titles, but we have to be very cautious of what he's doing with a budget that he has at Brighton, and the fact that their model, and it will be this for at least another 10 years until they've been in the Premier League and built up more money. Their model is to buy cheap, sell, and then they take that money. Some of it gets reinvested in the players, some of it gets reinvested into the structure of the football club. And that's how small clubs grow. And there's a lot of people that challenge this. But I remember listening to, I think you must have watched it, LB Vincent Company's documentary they did with about Burnley on Sky. Mm-hmm. And in the first episode, they break down in the meeting why, and Burnley weren't doing this. And they were breaking down in the meeting why it's so important to buy talented young players, build them up and sell them for a profit and reinvest it into the football club. And you have to invest it in multiple areas. You can't just take it all and spend it on players, of course. And Brighton's model will always see their best players leave. Do I think Zerbi and Brighton would have gone to another level this year if McAllister and Caicedo and the like had all stayed and they bought in who they did? Yeah, I believe so. I mean, they're already in it. They're already in about the same position as they were last year, same points, top their group in Europe after selling their best players. Now, let me ask you guys this question. If your 2 or 3 best players for each summer for the last 3 years have been sold from your clubs, would Arsenal and City be as good as they are now, in your opinion?
Yeah, probably not.
Probably
so
not.
That's why the hype's there, because you look at the model. You look at that model, but I agree with you. The idea that he goes into City and keeps them winning like Pep, I think he needs a step between a giant club that's at the top winning and where he is now. He needs to be tested somewhere. He needs to be tested somewhere like a Spurs. That he needs that in between, and I mean that with all due respect to Tottenham. As much as you make lots of money, you're not a Man United, you're not a City, you're not a Liverpool, you're not an Arsenal. He needs something in between where the pressure's a lot higher than at Brighton. But I do get the hype around him, because what he's doing at a club their size with their budgets is phenomenal in so many ways. But equally, Brighton are a very well-run club. He goes to Chelsea and they don't improve how they're being run. He's going to foul there as well.
Chelsea have put themselves into a ridiculous situation for this reason. They can't go and get Ancelotti or Simeone or Flick now, because they ain't got a win now squad. So you get a win now manager. You know, the same as Spurs. They go and get Conte's ready to win now, but they don't have a squad that's ready to win now. So they have to go and get a project manager now, because that's the squad that they've put together is going to have to be a project. So they're screwed. They're absolutely screwed now.
They didn't even need to do this, Danny, either. Like, they had a Champions League winning team.
£1 billion. They spent
£1 billion, guys. Yeah, they just won the Champions League. This owner come in and thought, you know what I'm going to do? You know this Champions League winning squad? I'm going to dismantle the whole thing and then replace it with under 23s. Well, way to go, mate. Yeah, you're now in the bottom half of the table. 2 years on the bounce with no Champions League football. You know, the fans are all arguing with each other. No one knows what they want. The boards are a mess. The managers are a mess. The players are crap. I'd take probably 1 or 2 players out your team, absolute max. Well, way to go, Todd. Yeah.
it's like, imagine taking this. I mean, Arsenal haven't even won a Champions League, but imagine you take this Arsenal squad now, spend $1 billion on it, and get worse. That's why I've seen teams fall off, spend loads of money and not get better. But to be a Champions League, and by the way, with Champions League winning team, and the next year they stayed for the first half, maybe 2/3 of the season, they stay pretty damn close to Liverpool and Chelsea, Liverpool and City. They had a bad December with injuries and other things like that. But they had a squad that was good enough for me. They were a handful of players away from being good enough to win the Premier League. And now you lose a handful of the players they've currently got, and they're getting relegated. I'm not even joking. There's a report that's come out this afternoon, gents. This is a mad one. That there is the Enzo Fernandez and his team are now looking at options to get out of the football club.
Yeah, probably true. They're probably true, but like what you have to. So this is the downside to the 8 years contracts is that if you sell him now, don't you have to take a massive loss on that? Now, how does that affect like the books and in terms of the financial
100%.
fair play? I'm pretty sure that's like the down. Like, it's all well and good saying, "Oh yeah, we get to spread our payments over 8 years," but if the players then sold early into the contract for a big loss, which he would be because no one's paying 100 million quid, isn't that going to massively impact
And
your
the
books?
profit
Yeah.
and sustainability thing it's going to mess them up massively.
Yeah, I mean,
now.
they're under huge pressure on that. And look, I understand if this. I mean, it's been shared by Simon Phillips, who's a very well respected name in the Chelsea community. The source comes from a Jack Tolbert, who he's back in here saying, he's solid on this. So I'm taking it for what it is. Some Chelsea fans won't want to agree with it. But I wanted to ask you, I'm not surprised that these players are looking at it and saying, you know what, this could be 2, 3, 4 years before we're doing anything of any real note and a player's career is short. I'm not asking this question to cause controversy. I'm asking it genuinely. With the potential risk of points deductions because of profit and sustainability, where they currently sit in the league, no real light at the end of the tunnel, could Chelsea end up a consistent mid-table team, or even worse, a relegation side? Could you see that happening to this club?
I mean, this is the second year in a row that they're finishing mid-table, is it not? So how many years do you have to finish in a certain area of the table to be considered that area of the table team? So they're going to probably finish mid-table this year. If they finish mid-table next year, that's 3 years on the bounce to finish mid-table. And the rumor has it that they're probably not going to be able to spend too much money this summer because of the profit and sustainability rules. So this squad ain't getting better. Dan's telling me this squad's crap and it's only a mid-table team. So this squad ain't going to improve. So you could potentially get 3 years in a row mid-table? I think
It could be a Fulham and Brentford, Chelsea. You never know. Listen, you'd think it'd be better, wouldn't you? You'd think it couldn't get much worse. But Terry's right. How do we see that? Where is the light at the end of the tunnel? And if we do believe the finances are going to screw them, which everyone's saying it is, then they might be in serious trouble. And then when players do want to leave and then become unsettled, they're going to have to sell them for ridiculous fees. You think Caicedo and Enzo are going to get them back 250 million, both of them? No.
Dan, how much would you pay for Enzo now?
I don't even rate him, bro. I don't even get
Okay. So say Arsenal have agreed a deal to sign Enzo Fernandez from Chelsea tomorrow. What price are you saying that's the max we should pay?
Because of his age and potential, 50 mil.
Yeah, I agree. I'm in that 50 mil area.
Do you rate Caicedo?
Yes.
I rate Caicedo more.
So on Caicedo, because you rate him, what would you be prepared for Arsenal to pay for him?
I was happy for when we were linked with him for 70 million in the January of last year. I was really happy for us to go and get him for that. And I stand by that. I think he's about that level because when he is on fire, mate, he looks really good.
Yeah, I'm not too far away from that either.
Yeah, I think that's about fair. Look, I don't think Chelsea will get relegated based on points generated in the season, in this season or next year. It's all about what happens with FFP and profit and sustainability. There is the talk that they could get anywhere between a 15 to 20 point deduction.
Ooh.
That sees Chelsea potentially go down. And what would happen if they had a deduction of that level?
I would love it.
Even if it was a 10-point deduction. The problem that you then have is I don't think these players, due to age, the clubs they've been developed through and their experience in football, I don't think they're built for a relegation battle. As great as top players can be, or top young talent can be, they're not used to that type of struggle. They're not used to, like, if you put the City team suddenly, like, say you took loads of points off City, you put them bottom of the league, and that, they're minus 30 points and said, trying to avoid relegation, they'd do it, but I don't think they'd accumulate as many wins as when they're up at the top. Because being at the bottom, I think psychologically it's a different type of battle. But that's the best team in the world. You would do it. This City team is already a mid-table side. You suddenly throw them into a relegation battle where your whole future depends upon you staying in the Premier League. I don't think they could handle that pressure. And people say I'm scaremongering. This is not listen, Chelsea Reaper. This isn't scaremongering. This is an honest conversation about a club who was the most successful for the past 20 years up until recently. Has had new owners, spend huge amount of monies, create massive financial problems according to the experts. A number of your young players now want to leave your club, and you've sat mid-table for 2 years. And last year, let's not lie about this. You know, and I know that we have a lot of good Chelsea fans who walk to the terrace and are not biased in this. If there was 5 or 6 more games to go last season, you would have gone down last year. You were dropping like a stone. It was only the start of the season by Thomas Tuchel that saved you. I think it was over like a 42-game period when you looked at the numbers from the start of this season to the beginning of this. You only generated 38 points. That's relegation form.
Facts.
You throw in a points deduction and the inability to spend more money. Look, to say that Chelsea couldn't end up in that type of environment is naive. And as Chelsea fans, you should be you should be asking questions and demanding answers. To bury your head in sand and just say it's all going to be okay is absolutely crazy.
Mate,
crazy in my opinion.
Can you imagine it's 2026 and Chelsea and City are going at it to try and win the championship? Oh, I'd love to see it, man. I'd love to see it. Both relegated.
Yeah.
Oh, it'd be beautiful. That's what I'm praying.
Give you a chance of winning the league.
Of course it would.
Yeah, but on that point though, Terry, I'm just looking at last year's fixtures. Chelsea won 1 game in the last 12 games of the season.
Jesus.
They won 1 game in the last 12. And by the way, yeah, you are right on Tuchel, yeah? What match day did Tuchel get sacked? Do we know?
That was after.
Can't remember.
I got it here. He was sacked after match day 6. In his first 6 games, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 3 wins and a draw. Yeah, so basically, 3 wins and a draw in his first 6 Premier League games.
10 points again. And again, if you go back to last season and just if you took those 10 points off, they'd have finished on 34 points. Their goal difference was better, but you take those games off, it wouldn't have been better. They could have gone down same points as Leicester. Genuinely, like this isn't. If we just look at this season, say like the breaches happened, you took 15 points off Chelsea now, they would drop into the relegation zone. And the reason I say 15 points is because every single financial expert who has spoken about Chelsea's situation or written about their situation has said looks like it's going to be bigger than Everton's. And they think that what they've been informed is the Premier League are treating it as deliberate because it's just spending money on players. It isn't stadia and investments elsewhere. It's just purely trying to build a squad. And that's why, and I'm not saying everything they're saying is 100% accurate, but they are the experts. Chelsea fans, do not be a bunch of ostriches and stick your head in that sand. You've got to ask questions now. Put your club under pressure now. You know, even this season, right? You're only 11 points out off the relegation zone. By the way, on the same time, you're 15 points from the top 4. So you are closer to relegation than you are the top 4. And your target was top 4 this year, according to your club. So you're nearer to relegation than your actual target. And what's your real saving grace is that Crystal Palace and Brentford and Forest and Luton and Everton. Well, in fairness with Everton, they've been in a bad run recently, but they'd be on 29 points if they didn't have their deduction. So they would still be behind you slightly. But there's so many teams that are worse than you. But listen, give Bournemouth a billion to spend. Give Palace $1 billion. Give Brentford $1 billion. I guarantee you they're not where they are in the league right now. I guarantee you they're 4, 5, 6 places higher. It's crazy. And Chelsea fans have got to ask more questions of their football club. This here says, this is all scaremongering. Love it. I don't think it is. But there we go. Goes to show how spending ridiculous sums of money guarantees nothing. It just puts more pressure on the team and coaches to perform.
Correct, man. Money doesn't guarantee success, man. It's how you spend it. And as I've said multiple times, Chelsea have, in my opinion, the biggest waste of money ever seen in the beautiful game has come from Chelsea over the last 2 years. The biggest waste of money ever. Yeah, they literally have hardly any players, I'd want to say. And they spent £1 billion.
It's madness. This here says, how have Chelsea had better resources than Tottenham and still managed to be where they are in the table. Spurs could be where the Chelsea are now. So Spurs have not had no resources. I'm going to call you out here, Jimbo. I looked at this the other day. Man United in the last 3 years, you boys would agree, spent a lot of money.
Yeah,
Top of your head?
Yeah,
we did it on a live show recently. Spurs in that same time have spent £27 million less. This idea that Spurs don't have money and don't spend money, it's just a weird myth. It's a weird myth. They do. They're one of the biggest spenders in Premier League history. They're one of the richest clubs in the world, one of the highest turnovers in the world. They've got huge resources. They just don't spend it correctly. They've wasted a lot of money over the years as well. Do you think that Graham would have been given more time if his surname was Pochettino?
Well, this is an interesting question, right? Because I think, obviously, in hindsight, now people look back and gone, "Oh, he probably didn't do as bad as we all thought. Like, he was doing a bad job. Let's not get it twisted." But everyone just thought he was doing a shocking job, and any manager could do better. The problem is they've not got a better manager. They've got a manager who's not great. So, yeah, I've heard a lot of Chelsea fans say they'd rather have Graham Potter than Pochettino. His football was
He's not
better.
done any worse, has he? He's not done any better, than Potter.
Yeah.
And this is what I mean. Like, I don't care if he stays or goes. I think it's hilarious what we're seeing. But if they want to go and get Arne Slot, or they want to go and get that Girona manager or someone like that next, they think he's the next project manager, go do it, and nothing will change. Nothing will change. It's crazy.
Yeah, listen, I hear you, boys. I do. Pride of London here says women's team and coaching staff is still the same course since the end of the Roman era. The men's team is completely gutted from coach to the players. Hashtag Poch out. Spurs could have gotten Poch, Terry, and over Poch. Andrew's doing a much better job. I think Andrew's doing a much better job. There's no doubt about it this season, because I think if you just said to Chelsea fans at the beginning of the season that Spurs will finish ahead of you, I reckon 60 to 70% would have disagreed. So maybe if not more. Viewers, do us a big favor and smash the like button, please. Make sure you are subscribing to the Terrace as well if you've not done so already. It was a big win for you guys on Sunday, Dan. A lot of people wrote you off. A lot of people said it couldn't be done, but you dominated them. You 100% kept yourselves in this title race. What did you make of the display, and how are you able to dominate Liverpool with such ease? Really, it appeared.
Yeah, well, listen, some of that has to be down to Liverpool and Klopp. I thought Klopp got his tactics wrong at times, and I didn't think Liverpool turned up. But that doesn't mean that was the reason why Arsenal won the game. And I've heard that from some people. Well, Liverpool didn't turn up, so Arsenal don't deserve the credit, really. It's just Liverpool rubbish. I kind of disagree with that, because I think Arsenal, actually, there was a lot of pressure on Arsenal. And we haven't really done well when it comes to pressure and when it comes to actually making statements this season. We've already lost at Villa Park, St James Park. We couldn't go to Stamford Bridge and win. We couldn't win the North London derby. We couldn't beat Liverpool at Anfield. We've only really beaten Man City and Liverpool this season at home. But you say that, they're two probably the hardest games. I know it's at home and it's different to going to the Etihad and Anfield. But when we look at the two victories there and the way that we did it, it was actually quite impressive. And I actually want to bring the name of this guy up, because it's a player that I think a lot of people, including myself, have kind of scoffed at times. But bringing in Jorginho was absolutely the right decision, man. And playing a double pivot with Declan Rice actually really worked. I thought the pair of them absolutely destroyed Liverpool's midfield. I thought the Liverpool midfield was pretty non-existent because of those two players. And it allowed Martin Odegaard to do his press. And I think it just complemented each other a lot more. And now that Partey is out and going to be out for a while again, we've got to just kind of forget about that now and not have to worry about who's going to play in this left eight. Is it going to be Havertz? Is it going to be Smith Rowe? Is it going to be Fabio Vieira? Just play Jorginho and Rice and let Odegaard do his thing and stop worrying about who's going to play left eight now, because for me, it worked fantastically well. Now, it might not work in every single game and you might not want it in every single game, but certainly for me, moving forward, it looks the best trio we've seen in midfield this season, because we've been so disjointed in that position for me in a number of games. And there's no real coincidence that Gabriel, Saliba and Rice have been spoken about. And now that Jorginho has come in, actually he was really impressive and it surprised a lot of people. Now, I wanted him to play, but I actually wanted him to play in that kind of deep line six and allow Rice to push forward. But actually for the majority of the game, we saw it more of a double pivot. But if I'm honest with you, the mistakes were absolutely comical. I mean, even from our goal that we conceded, it was bad. But Liverpool, what was Van Dijk doing? I mean, we're looking at experienced heads here. We're looking at world-class players of the past 5 years. Alisson in goal comes out and kicks Van Dijk. Van Dijk just needs to head that ball, lets it bounce, gets himself in all sorts of trouble. And then, of course, the Trossard goal actually deflects off Van Dijk and nuts his Alisson as well. But I'm going to give Arsenal credit. And I think the one thing I will say about this, which I'm sure we will come on to, so I won't go into it in too much detail, is this is absolutely not what any of the media or neutral fans wanted. Now, LB will disagree because he's Man City, and I imagine he probably wanted Arsenal if he had to pick one, right? But for me, the amount of reaction from this game is absolutely embarrassing. It's really quite scary. If Arsenal would have lost this game, it would have been, yes, brilliant. Get your TVs on, people. Lights are up. Arsenal are out the title race. Everybody laugh. Everybody laugh. Arsenal won it, and they're like, well, they need to calm down a bit. Get that camera out. Get down the tunnel. Don't run up and start celebrating. Get the fans to calm down a bit. It's brilliant. We've rattled them. We've done it. That's exactly what we needed to do. Shut everybody up. Rattle everybody. Carragher. Oh, my God, what an embarrassment. I mean, the head's gone moment. Let's put him as my Twitter profile picture. Erdegaard, click, click, click. What an absolute embarrassment that guy was. He's completely lost his head. Just accept it. We were crap on the night. Doesn't mean much for Liverpool. We're still top of the league. Arsenal had to win. We didn't. But no, we don't get that. We get absolutely embarrassment from fans, media, everybody that dislikes Arsenal, right? And to be fair to Man City fans, they're probably sitting there going, Arsenal deserved it. I've spoken to LB. He's come on my show and talked about it. Arsenal deserved it. It's probably good for Man City. We go beat Brentford, go top, and we can now go top of the league properly by winning their game in hand, which I think is against Brentford. So I look at it and I think, what is all the reaction about? Arsenal done the business. Doesn't mean Arsenal going to win the title. It means there's potentially a 3-horse race again now. And I think it would have been done if Arsenal would have lost that. But that's where I'm at, man. I don't understand this huge celebration, police, overreaction, media that all sit there going, yeah, Arsenal won, shame. Oh, well, we wanted to have a laugh and we can't now. What is it all about, man? Jesus.
And do you understand why for about a year and a half now I've been saying that Arsenal scare rivals?
Well,
because this is I've never seen anything like it. You were phenomenal. It took I give BBC Match of the Day 2 on the Sunday great credit because they just broke the game down. They spoke about what you did that was great. They did a very good job. And in fairness, Carragher and the like did last night at Monday Night Football. They broke the game down. I thought it was an embarrassment to the mainstream media that on Sunday night, instead of reviewing all the brilliant things Arsenal did and maybe reviewing some of the things that Liverpool got wrong, they focused on your celebrations. They called you immature. For the whole week, I mean, they do it every week, to be fair. They build up Super Sunday, they call it, the biggest game of the week. Drop what you're doing. This is huge. This means everything. It was then twisted into, well, why is everyone so excited? It's only one game. It's only 3 points. And that's for me because there's a lot of people out there, for one reason or another, they dislike Arsenal. There's a hatred for them. They've been the whipping boys for a long, long time. And I think there is a bit of fear for them. And all their worst fears were realized at that moment in time, oh, these guys legitimately are serious and they're really in this title race. And instead of being men, holding their hands up and admitting it, they cried like little babies. It was like watching a bunch of 3-year-olds in a supermarket stamping their feet.
Yeah,
it was and I'm not an Arsenal fan, but I was watching it just thinking, do you know how embarrassing you all look? It was to not see any credit given. And like Arteta it was only 2 weeks ago, a week ago, when Klopp announced he was leaving. Sky Sports put out a best Klopp celebration compilation. Arteta celebrates, and Sky say this is a disgrace to football what he's doing. It's honestly, it's amazing to watch. So they've got to study this in universities for psychology because there's something not right here. There's some illnesses going on.
But the thing is, if it was like, for me, people are saying, it don't matter. Arsenal really calm down. They're not going to win the league still. It's not. We'll start acting like it then. What are you worried about? What's this uproar about then? What's it all about? What is it all about? If Arsenal were not serious, which I still don't think we'll win the league, by the way. I've never said we will. I always thought Man City would. We needed to win that just to stay in the race, right? So why is the media not reflecting that? Why is it like, oh my God, we didn't want this to happen. They're back. They're going to be in this bloody title race now. It's not what we wanted. This is the disgrace. Shout at their celebrations. Get that Erdegaard off. Get that camera out of his hands. Put it all over Twitter. I'm even going to put it as my profile picture. I'm like, wow, we've really rattled people by beating Liverpool.
Yeah, bro. Listen, you just understand.
Mad.
They are just rattled. Yeah, you rattled them hard, and I found it quite funny. I wanted Arsenal to win. That was my hope. I didn't think you would. I thought Liverpool would win. Because I thought that you guys would be too emotional, and you are an emotional club, and emotion did show at the end of the game.
Though. That's fair.
Handled the emotion during the game, whereas I thought Liverpool didn't. I thought one of the best performances I've seen from Arsenal this season. Still have concerns about you guys creating chances and putting the ball in the back of the net, because you should have been 2-3-0 up at half time based off of the amount of ball possession you had and domination of the game, not necessarily chance creation. On another day, Liverpool could have potentially come back and beat you unfairly. So I still have a concern about that for Arsenal, but Arsenal thoroughly deserved it, man. I think Klopp got his tactics completely wrong. Completely wrong. I think he should have sat back, absorbed pressure, played really defensive, because we've seen Arsenal struggle plenty of times this season to break down teams, and hit Arsenal on the break and get them on the counter-attack. That's what I think they should have done. The pressing from Liverpool was shocking, leaving gaps all over the place. Arsenal exposed it, and Arsenal thoroughly deserved the win. Thoroughly deserved the win, and Liverpool needs to get back to basics now. And listen, the reason why you guys were emotional after the game, you are an emotional football club and you have an emotional fan base and players, is because you are right. If Arsenal would have lost that game, maybe even drawn, but certainly lost, that's it for the title race. Arsenal were out of the title race. For Liverpool, it wasn't like that. Liverpool are still top of the table. You know what I mean? Arsenal had to win that game. It was almost not like a cup final because they didn't get anything for it, but they are still in the race. They still have a chance. If they would have lost that game, they're out. Done. It's top 4 season. So for them, I understand why they were celebrating after the game. They just put in mad work ethic for 90 minutes. They performed really, really well. They just beat probably the second best team in the country. And they deserve to have a celebration. And if they got all rattled by it, yeah, I just take that, Dan, that, yeah, they're not happy with what their score result was. Rather than, because listen, if someone can't celebrate or whatever, it is what it is. And how do you know why Odegaard's taking a photo of that of the cameraman, that kitman guy? You know what I mean? He might have just wanted to do that. Why is that such a big issue? It's because they rattled. They're completely rattled. And again, going back to some Liverpool fans, not all Liverpool fans are like this. This is Klopp's last year, Dan. They are desperate for him to win the Prem.
Oh yeah,
yeah.
So if he does, they'll do anything for him to win the Premier League, because even if he wins the domestic cups and the Carabao and the Europa League, as good as that is, it's still not the Premier. It's not the Champions League. They're desperate for him to win that. Because, bro, at the end of the day, if he doesn't win the Premier League this year, he leaves after what 9 years, having won a single Premier League. So they're desperate for him to win it, and that's why some Liverpool fans got rattled. Some just accepted it and went, "Yeah, we weren't good enough on the day. We need to improve." Some got rattled. Congratulations.
Do you think just quickly, both of you, right? Do you think that the Klopp announcement now, we're going to get one or two things? We're going to get, let's rally the troops and get behind him, or we're going to get like, this is desperation. We've got to win something now, and that is not a good way to go into it, because, and I'm not just saying this by the way, just because they've now lost one game, because it is only one game they've lost, because the other one they lost against Spurs was a fix, really, wasn't it? It was just absolutely crazy, right? But I look at it, I think it can go two ways, this. I think you can get to what you were just there, LB, what you've just said there about the fan base and about Carragher and the likes of him going, oh my God, this could be, oh, we just have to win it. We had to win that game to win this title. Blah, blah, blah. They're getting so like desperate for it. That's just the league. What happens if they do that in a cup final against Chelsea, which I think they'll win, by the way? What happens in the Europa League if they start doing that? They say, well, he hasn't won this competition. He's got to go out and bow out with the Europa League. We've got to go into a domestic cup. That could happen, man. So they talk about the quad, but it could fall.
So what it does is it puts a lot of pressure on them.
Pressure,
yeah. It puts pressure on the players. It puts pressure on the whole football club. Because listen, I get it. He's idolised at Liverpool. Yeah, he's a good manager and that. He's won them trophies. He's brought them back to the big time. He's idolised. But what it's doing is it's putting a hell of a lot of pressure on those players. Now, when you're winning week in, week out, that's all well and good. Yeah, but if you start, and remember, Liverpool have not really had a dodgy run yet. City have 1 win in 6. Arsenal have 1 win in 7 or 8. Liverpool, that's the first game that they've lost legitimately. If you kind of ignore the Spurs game, you know, you'd expect them to have a dodgy run at some point. Will they be able to deal with it with all the pressure? So I don't know. I think Liverpool Football Club is a fascinating club this year, because you don't know what's gonna happen. But they need to bounce back. Luckily for them, they've got 4 pretty winnable fixtures now.
Yeah,
I agree. I think that the announcement for a lot of people, you get that initial thing of, wow, they're going to come together as a club and they're going to go and win it for Klopp. But I remember listening to Sam on the show, and I've seen a lot of other Liverpool fans online. The players now must win it for Klopp. And normally the players get the full support of their fans. And I'm not saying they don't have support, but the way they're talking has shifted from, come on, guys, we want you to win the league. We believe in you, to go and win Klopp the title now, you bums. And if that's the way they go and a bit of anxiety creeps in, it can have a detrimental effect. But I just think on the day, I think Arsenal were too good. I think Arsenal were just far too good, too quick. And it was very reminiscent of the FA Cup game a few weeks back. The difference was Arsenal didn't score in that game. Arsenal probably played better in the FA Cup game for large parts. They just took their chances. And yes, there's a comment actually that came up here earlier that said from Louis that said, serious question. If VVD doesn't make that howler for Arsenal's second goal, do you still go on to win it? Liverpool was controlling the second half.
Well, that's what I said before. I said this is why I still have concerns about Arsenal, because as good as they were, they still don't put the ball in the back of the net. They need a striker, man. If Arsenal, right, they need a striker in the summer. They need to go all out and get a world-class striker. Whether it's Osimhen, I don't know if Tony's world-class, but someone like a Tony, someone who can put the ball in the back of the net. Because that's, for me, where they're majorly let down in that squad. They're strong on the wings. They need support. I'm not talking about the squad. I'm talking about the first 11 here, by the way. They're strong on the wings. The midfield's decent. The back four's decent. Got an okay goalkeeper. The one area of weakness is that striker position. As good as Jesus is, he ain't a world-class finisher. And obviously, Nketiah isn't. I go back. The perfect example for me, I'm sure Dan will agree, is West Ham when they got beat. If Jesus missed two sitters, if they have a Benzema, if they have a Haaland, they have a Kane, they have a Tony, they have an Osimhen, they at least get a point out of that game. That could be the difference come the end of the season. Because he missed two sitters, two headers that he should have scored both. So,
yeah. I think you can throw that in if the mistake didn't happen, but you could also throw it in reverse and say if Saliba's mistake hadn't happened, would Liverpool come out at the start of the second half the way they did? You don't know. That's football for you, but I think it's a decent question.
Saliba's, by the way, just quickly, because you just mentioned Saliba there, sorry. Saliba's seemed to drop off, in my opinion. I watch all the Arsenal games, right? Do the pray-alongs and that, yeah? I actually genuinely think that he's been, out of him and Gabriel, I think Gabriel's been a lot better than him this year. And, you know, I've seen last year, a lot of Arsenal fans was putting Saliba up there with the best in the world or whatever, fairs, whatever last year. I think this year, genuinely, I think he's dropped off. I've seen him quite a few games that I think he's dropped off. But Dan?
I think the level was so high last year when he burst onto the scene that people are going to look and they're waiting for him to make mistakes now because they want him to make mistakes. And he's made 2 in 2 games. I don't think his performances overall have dropped off in terms of the season. I don't think he's been always not the same player, but he's definitely, it's fair to say that Gabriel has been better than him. I think Gabriel has been phenomenal and he's one of the most underrated player. When people talk about it, it's probably because they give Saliba a lot of plaudits, and rightly so. I don't agree with the last comment. I don't think Liverpool dominated Arsenal in any part of that game, if I'm honest. I didn't look at Liverpool and think, oh, yeah, can't see anything happening here. They had probably 10 minutes in the second half where they came out and we thought, oh, this could be a different Liverpool now. You know what's going to happen. And then we got back into the game and I thought we were the better side. Yeah, mistakes happen in football, but like you say, Terry, if the Van Dijk don't happen, if the Saliba don't happen, like we've said, then it could be different for our way as well. But Saliba's been bodied by Onwonyi and he's made an individual error where he's waiting for Rare and he needs to just clear his lines. He's a young kid. He's going to make mistakes. All defenders do it. We've just seen Van Dijk do it at 32, wherever old he is. So for me, I don't look at Saliba and worry. And Gabriel, by the way, fair mention because he has been so good for us, man. He really has.
Yeah, because he had a lot of bozo moments last year, Gabriel, a lot last year. And it's sometimes in games where you were already comfortable. But yeah, he's had a phenomenal campaign.
As a partnership, it's class, man. As a partnership, it's class, Gabriel and Saliba. It really is.
It certainly is. Here, this says, do you think Liverpool's lack of young players is a double-edged sword? Arsenal get constant flack for their young players, but Liverpool look too old and tired.
Yeah, I don't know. I just don't think Liverpool. I don't, possibly, bro. I mean, this Liverpool team is different to the one that they had the great team. You know, they had the engine in midfield with Henderson, Wijnaldum. They had the pace on the wings and the quality. More importantly, with Mane and Salah, and then Firmino dropping in the hole. They had a better team. They're not as good as they used to be. Yeah, and this team now, You know, you take Salah out of that team, for me, I just think they're a massively weaker side. Obviously they are. But like I'm talking like I think the drop-off's mad. And I think you have to alter the way you play. Like when De Bruyne gets injured, we don't alter the way we play. We play the same way. But I feel like when Salah's not in there, I feel like you have to play a different way. I feel like you got to play a little bit more deeper and maybe try and get him on the break, because when you play Salah, you want Salah as close as possible to the box. So when you win the ball high up, you're giving the ball and he's in and around the goal so he can get the goals. But when he's not there, Gakpo's not doing that. Luis Diaz ain't doing that. These other players ain't doing that. So I think, this is why I said I feel like if I was Liverpool, I'd sell Salah in the summer.
I think he is going to go. But I don't think it is a old squad personally. I think that there are some young players at Liverpool. What I will say though, and I've said this before, I felt they needed a 6 if they wanted to win the title, and I was kind of sharp a little bit by that because Endo was actually not so bad and McAllister's kind of done a job there. But actually, when you look at the spine of Liverpool, I don't look at it and go, "Cool, yeah." I don't look at that and go, "That is winning." Like to the spine of every single title that has Premier League title winning side, they have had an unbelievable spine from goalkeeper right the way through to centre forward. And I think Alisson's there. I think Van Dijk has been there. Whether he's there at the moment, people can question mark. He's had like one bad game, to be fair. He's been really good again this season. I don't look at their midfield and think there's anyone. I don't see a Gerrard. I don't see a Vieira. I don't see a Yaya Toure or a Lampard. And then when I go up top, I don't see a Haaland. I don't see a Thierry Henry. I see good firepower across the goals by sort of contribution, or goals by, what do they call it? Goals by committee. Goals by committee.
Yeah.
But I don't see a centre forward there that's going to get them 30 goals a season. So I think that is what Manchester City have got. They have got a spine, 100%. They've got their goalkeeper, they've got their centre half, they've got Rodri, they've got De Bruyne, they've got Haaland. And that is why Manchester City are always going to be the favourites, because Arsenal can't compete with that spine, and neither can Liverpool, in my opinion.
This year, Ola here says that Arsenal did deserve the win, but Arteta copying Klopp's fist punch was.
Oh, they didn't like that, did they?
Classless.
They hated that. They hated this. They really hated this. Listen, he's done. He knows what he's doing, and it's worked.
Certainly has. As an Arsenal fan, I just hope we continue to play like we did on Sunday. It was a big game at home. It's easy to get up for it. Let's do the same against West Ham. And have you seen a change, Dan, in Arsenal since you went on your international break, you know, your winter break, as they call it? You come back beating Palace 5-0. You only beat Nottingham Forest 2-0, but you dominated them. You then dominate Liverpool at home. Do you think almost there's been, you know, that little break, that little reset's done you good? And are you confident of continuing this against West Ham?
I think the break did us good, but I don't know that it did us good to completely change our style, because I haven't been like, wow, this is a different Arsenal now. Oh, my word, like I'm seeing a completely different Arsenal. Not really. I think we've definitely worked on our set pieces. We look a lot better because we were horrendous at some of our set pieces. Particularly our corners with Trossard on them. We've now changed that. Declan Rice has taken them. Saka's now taken them. They've been a lot better. We've tried some different things. We've still scored a lot of goals from set pieces, to be fair, this season. I think we are one of the best in the league at doing that. And hopefully that continues and we start to see the improvements continue there. I think we were a lot more free-flowing against Liverpool, which is the first time we can say that we've seen that at the Emirates this season. I think that when we played Manchester City, we weren't as free-flowing. I think LB will agree that it weren't peppering the Man City goal, if I'm honest. And it was a deflected goal. I think defensively we were fairly similar, but offensively I thought we were much different against Liverpool. I agree with what LB said previously, that we still need a centre forward. But to be honest with you, I don't think that we can look at that situation now and worry too much, because nothing's happening in that department now. Yeah, the window's shut. We've got what we've got. We've got to make the most of it. And it is up to Mikel Arteta to try and change that and improve us. Do I feel confident going into the West Ham game? Not really. I should do, because they're on a terrible run of form and we are better than them. But we've been there already. We've lost. We lost to them at home. And at the moment, they're starting to turn into a little bit of a bogey side for us. And the Declan Rice thing has completely lifted their fan base. And they now see us as a rival because they hate us. So anything can happen, man. But listen, I'd say this, Terry, just lastly, if we do lose to West Ham, all that stuff at the weekend has gone out the window, man. So we have to beat West Ham.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's definitely important to you have to this weekend, because also I think it's another huge psychological step. At one of the grounds where last year your title race went wrong, and I think to go there, if you do put another dominant display in and win, it's just it sort of puts that ghost to bed. That's probably not the right expression. But do you get what I mean?
do.
Put that skeleton to bed. There's an expression that's something similar to that when you put old haunts to bed. I don't know what the expression is. Just
I don't know
like
either. I get what
feel
you mean.
like I'm on catchphrase, but and getting it wrong. You know when I get it wrong.
It's good, but it's not right.
Yeah. Well, it's Stephen Mulhern that does it now. It's on the other day.
Yeah, it's changed now. It's not what's his name anymore, is it? Like Roy, what's his name? Oh, I've forgotten his name now. But yeah,
I've got to Google it. Putting ghosts.
Someone will tell you in the chat, man.
Yeah, there's a saying that's like that. I know it's still wrong. I know it's wrong. I'm saying it wrong on purpose. I know it's wrong. I'm just trying to work out what it is. I swear there's a thing about putting like problems from your past to bed. There's a saying, and it's something. That's not Bradley Walsh. It's anyway. It takes the monkey off your back. I get that one, but I swear there's one about things that are a bit scary, a little bit of a bit of a fear. I don't know. I swear
Walker,
there's one. Roy Walker was the Don, mate. He was the Don.
Yeah, he was the Don.
I'm gonna find that saying later. I've googled that in. And
lay the ghost to rest.
Lay the ghost to rest. There we go. I said, hang on. So saying putting the ghost to bed is not that far wrong, is it?
Oh, yeah.
But, I mean, it's still wrong. Laying the ghost to rest. That's what I was looking for. That's it. Perfect. There we go. Putting the ghost to bed. What was that when I said? Laying the skeleton down. Laying the skeleton down. I knew it was something like that. Burying the hatchet. Yeah, that's one. That's more when you've had a fight with someone, though. That's what when you've had a Barney one. Skeletons in the closet. Maybe. No, that's when you're hiding something and it comes out about you. Do you know what I mean? That's a little different. I'm talking about. Yeah, it's laying the ghost to rest. That's exactly what demons putting the demons to bed. Is that a saying? I think I've heard that.
Maybe.
Demons to bed.
Not sure, man.
Oh, I don't know. Demons in your bedroom is what came up on my Google search.
Yeah, what's going on here, man?
Then third one down. Buy the book. I'm a demon in the bedroom. Oh, I might have a look at it. Let you see what that's about. Anyway, we're moving on. We're
getting demonetized here, mate.
Terry, did you see Van Dijk said that Liverpool were dominating the game until they went 2-1? I've seen a lot of Liverpool fans say they were dominating that game until they went 2-1 down.
As a neutral, that's a complete waffle. And why is Klopp blaming the referee, man? Moaning about the referee, like, I had nothing to do with the referee. Like.
Yeah, I mean, he weren't moaning 4 days earlier when Chelsea didn't get 2 Stonewall penalties. He didn't moan then, so don't moan now. Jim here says, the best thing about Chelsea is Rory Jennings having a delectable medley of footballing failure. On Arsenal, I really thought Liverpool would smash them. A lot of people did. A lot of people, I mean, I predicted a 2-1 Arsenal win, and I said you do it narrowly. And people, it was like I predicted a 10-0 victory. It was... Yeah. The pushback I got was unbelievable. And I said it'll be a close game. I think both teams... I mean, I was wrong, really, in my prediction. I said it'll be a close game. And I don't think it was close by any stretch of the imagination. So I'm not even claiming to have got it right, really.
I did some preview shows, and a lot of the people, you know, what do you think the score is going to be? Dan, you say it, and then everyone in the chat goes, don't they? And starts giving it 4-0, 4-1, 5-1, 3-0, 3-1, 3-2, 2-1, 3-1, all Liverpool. And I was thinking, blimey, I mean, I think they might beat us, but I've gone for a draw 2-2, but maybe they'll beat us. But I don't think it'll be 5-0 or 4-1. I don't think it'll be that. So it's hard to come to the Emirates and win 4 or 5-1. It is. It still is, you know, even though that we haven't won titles for a while, it's still difficult to come and win 4-1, 5-1. It rarely happens, right? So, yeah, I was surprised that Liverpool were that confident.
People underestimate your team. And, you know, mainly one of the reasons why people back Liverpool, and I back Liverpool for this reason only, is because of the occasion. When I did my prediction, I did 2-1 Liverpool, and I actually said my disclaimer on that was not based off of the players on the pitch, based off of the occasion, because I think Arsenal would end up melting again because they always do in these occasions. I think now you're starting to get over that, and I think that's the biggest promising sign I think you guys should take from this season so far. Is against City, you handled the pressure well. Against Liverpool twice in cup and in the league, you've handled the pressure relatively well. So I think that's positive. The problem that you're in now, is that you're in a problem now that you need to win all your games. In my opinion, I just think you need to keep winning. I think you can't afford no draws. See, City can lose a game and we still level on points with you. See, so we got that insurance in the bank. You ain't got that insurance in the bank. Do you know what I mean? Plus, you don't play Liverpool again. Now, people will say, why is that a bad thing? Why? Because we're above them. You know, you know what I mean? This isn't, you're twisted. If on one hand, you say, buzzing Arsenal can go on and win the league, but got to play Liverpool again. No. Liverpool above you. You need people to take points off of Liverpool. If you're that good, if you believe you can win the league, you should back yourself to beat them, home or away. Yeah. So
I've got
you
more
need
faith
to win
in
on your
Liverpool
games.
losing than I've got more faith in Liverpool losing more points than Man City. I really have, and I think you're right.
But it's on other. You're hoping other teams do that. It's not in your hands.
Yeah. I'll just absolutely 100%. And we have got to go to the Etihad and win if we want to win the title days, right? Man City, I don't see losing many games again, and I've always said I think you'll win the league. But at the moment, I was asked a question. I think Robbie asked me, my fan cam actually, about what do you think with Arsenal this season in terms of being the ones chasing the pack as opposed to try not to blow it? Will that change? Potentially. We'll have to find out, won't we? I don't think we're good enough personally to win the league, but
me and Sav had that big blowout last week on our show when I said I actually think, with hindsight for me, because it was my prediction, not his, even though that you would say with a 5-point lead last year, you've got a better chance than being 2 points off the top now. I feel, though, that now we realize that you couldn't handle the pressure last year, and there is very little pressure on you because you're being written off. With all due respect, you're being written off.
We are, yeah.
You could argue. I mean, I don't think Arsenal win in the league, but you've got a chance to. I think your chance is now slightly higher based on what we now know from last year. But I look at it this way: a lot of people are like, you've got to go on to win the league. I don't think Arsenal do have to go on to win the league. I think Arsenal have to challenge for the title. And I think for me, if you're challenging for the Premier League or La Liga, and I use those two leagues as an example, and you probably could throw the other leagues into that as well to a degree, but more so those the biggest two leagues. You're in my opinion, one of the best teams in Europe. If you're genuinely challenging for the Premier League. Now, I know fans want to win it, but you are up against one of the greatest English teams of all time, with maybe the greatest manager of all time. And you have to take that into consideration. How far behind City you are I think is a barometer for how good you are.
Yeah,
and I think that's where I'm hearing a lot of if Arsenal don't win it, they're done. What do you mean they're done? What, they fold? They stop being a team? Arsenal have got to be in the title race at the very least. And I think that's why it was such a big win at the weekend, as LB said earlier, because you stayed in it. If you end up coming second this year or third this year, but you're 2 points off the top, I don't know, on 90 points, just throwing that number out there as an example, it's not success in terms of winning a trophy. But you're so close to winning. Who's the manager in the world that's attainable, that's definitely going to make you better than that? The answer is very few. So I think that for me is where Arsenal need to stay. And I think being on if you can stay on the shoulder of City and Liverpool and you're a win or so away, that's when maybe you've got a chance of going into it. And the fan support is key. And I think the Arsenal players respond far better to encouragement than they do being berated. That doesn't mean you shouldn't criticize at times. And I felt like the atmosphere at the weekend, I felt there was a relaxed feeling at the Emirates Stadium. You heard it when the players were coming out. I've seen you against lesser teams this year, much lesser teams this year, and the anxiety is through the roof before kickoff. And you're thinking, what's all this about? You guys have got to support your team in a way that gets the best results out of them. But look, you're not favourites to win the league, but you're well in this title race. And I think that's why people were triggered at the weekend as well. Because when you were 5 points ahead last year, it wasn't just this is your best chance of winning the league. It was, if you don't win it this year, you won't even be anywhere near it next season. United will be better, Liverpool will be back, Chelsea will be back. Don't do it this year. The prediction was that Arsenal wouldn't even be in the title race this season. So everyone that's laughing at Arsenal has already been proven wrong, in my opinion, because they're there. You're in, and LB, you said earlier, Sam changed your mind. LB changed my mind on title races earlier on this season when he said you're in a title race until you're not. And I like that because it's simple and it's the clearest definition of what a title race is. Some people go, you've got to be able to win it with 3 games to go, 5 games to go, 10 games. You're in it until you're in it. Do you know what I mean? You're in it until you're not. And I think that's the best way to describe it. And right now, there's 3 teams that are definitely in this title race. And, if Man United keep win their next 2 or 3 games and beat City at the Etihad, we'll be in it as well. So, I'm joking. Viewers. Don't cry. Don't cry. I know some of you will. This is a weird one. The jacket in the thumbnail makes you look like a PSG fan. Must be you, Dan, because yours is like a bluey red one.
Oh, is it me?
Yeah.
I've never seen it now.
Really? I've got an Arsenal badge on it. Does that make it any better?
Can't
Yeah,
be.
I can see
It
an
can't. It
Arsenal
can't
fan.
be. It can't be LB or me. We're just wearing black. Like we're just wearing black. I don't understand the point of telling players you're leaving midway through the season. Surely they knew it could psych the players out. Psych the players out.
It's a difficult one, that one, because there's no easy way of doing it. Because what happens is, Jiminy, yeah, obviously, if he's told the club he's leaving, right, and so let's just go down your scenario that the club and Klopp decide that they're not going to tell the players that he's leaving, right? But Klopp obviously has to tell the club because he can't just turn around at the end of the season and say, I'm off. You know what I mean? The club needs to make preparations, right? The club then have to start speaking to managers now, yeah, because they need to start speaking to managers to see who they can get in the summer. Rumours will start spreading in the papers. Then what's going to happen? It's going to come out anyway. And then they're either going to deny it, therefore lying to the players and the fans, or they're going to come out and say, no, actually, sorry, I am leaving. Just didn't want to tell you. That's more disrespectful. I just don't think there's any particular good way of doing it, but I don't think this way would have been any better. I think that would have been worse.
Yeah. I think the players have known. I don't think it's going to impact the players. It's how the fans treat the players and the club when they're in matches. That's the difference. That's the difference for me. Chelsea's problem is that Todd Boehly is running the club as the owner and manager. They need some players to go, but he won't let Poch do so. Thank you, Robert. This here says, I love how everyone is forgetting Arteta is doing the same thing future pool manager Alonso is doing at Leverkusen in a much more difficult league. Arteta, best young coach in the world, is what Kelly Preston's got to say here.
Go on, Dan.
I mean, look, let's calm down a little bit. Xabi Alonso has come in at Bayern Leverkusen and has taken them forward. I believe it's his first season. And he is currently sitting top of the league with a Bayern Munich side that's just bought Harry Kane that's got broken records. So, yes, it's a harder league in the Premier League, but we're sitting pretty much, in my opinion, behind Liverpool and Man City still. So I'm not going to get too carried away and excited and start, now that we've beaten Liverpool, start saying that Mikel Arteta is the best young coach in the world. I don't know who is the best young coach in the world. If I'm honest with you, I don't really care. I just want Arsenal to win things. I don't really want to start comparing our managers to somebody who's got their first job at Bayern Leverkusen, personally. That's just my opinion, though. But big up for the chat, for the super chat.
That is.
Yeah, sorry, someone sent me a really weird picture of Gabriel and Saliba holding a baby Haaland. I don't know why someone sent that to me. He just threw me. Look, boys, I want to thank you both very much for coming on, talking football with us today. Absolutely loved it. To all the super chatters, to everybody that's hit the like button, a big thank you to each and every single one of you. Back tomorrow with more content with Sava and Mo back on Straight Facts. That's going to be an interesting show. So make sure you're all tuning in. Until next time, my people, take care. Goodbye. God bless. And I'll see you all again soon. Peace.